So good morning, everybody. Thanks to Joe, those of us who joined us early today. Our webinar once again is on our trip to Peru, land of the Incas, that's happening in May of next year, May 6th to the 18th. And this is an amazing trip. We're delighted to go to Peru, and I'm delighted that we have our host, Martine, who is super experienced in trips in Peru, is going to be joining us, and I'll introduce her in just a moment. Just a few words about who we are as an organization. So Wheel and Anchor is a travel community consisting of members from all across Canada. We started just about 5 years ago, and as I say, we consist of members from all across the country. And our philosophy is that we have a unique way of bringing like-minded people together, in the sense that, you know, we are primarily Canadian. In fact, most of our members are Canadian, and we appreciate travel in a way that respects local culture and tradition and the people most of all. And, you know, it's like this soft touch approach. And I think that when you get a bunch of people that travel like that, and you all share that, you know, that culture, if you will, of travel, it just adds a totally different dynamic than as if you were to just join a tour group that could consist of all kinds of people who may or may not be like-minded. And I think that our members have reported consistently that, you know, they've made new friends, they do other trips together. And that's really what we're all about at Wheel and Anchor. And of course, in keeping with that, you know, I am keen. This is my goal for our members, is that you really get to see the parts of the world that you want to see, to become well-traveled. Because, you know, it's, you know, when you refer to somebody, if you think about, if you were to refer to somebody as well-traveled, you automatically, you know, have a sense that that person has, you know, really understood a little bit the way how humanity operates. And you know, we feel a little bit elevated in that from people who don't have the opportunity or don't take the opportunity to travel around the world. So that's in a nutshell what we're all about. Without further ado, let's meet our team today. So my name is Gordon. Once again, I'm the founder of Wheel and Anchor. And I am, we couldn't do all of this without an amazing team. So in particular, Barb, who's joined us on the webinar today. Hi, Barb. Barb is one of our senior trip specialists that will be there to answer the questions that you might have and get you onto this trip if you so decide. And of course, working alongside with Paula. And our special guest today, I'm delighted to introduce you to Martine, who has hosted with us before for our Costa Rica trip. Welcome, Martine. It's always a delight to have you back, and I'm excited that we're doing Peru together.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Yeah, great. So Martine is going to give us her play-by-play. She's done lots and lots of touring in Peru, so she is the person who's going to really explain all of the nitty-gritty. And yeah, we're going to take you on our usual little nitty-gritty, our digital nitty-gritty tour, if you will, through Peru, and of course Machu Picchu being one, not just, you know, the highlight. There's so many highlights on this trip, and that's what I always find about people when we go to Peru is that, you know, it's all about, oh, Machu Picchu, but there's so many other amazing things in the country. I love going to Peru, and this is where we're headed, May of 2024. So let's get right into it. With our program overview. Of course, the beginning and the end of the program is Lima, the capital of Peru. And I believe Air Canada is flying there nonstop again from Toronto. Martine, have they resumed that route? Yes, exactly. So this is one of the big benefits, is that certainly if you're coming from the east coast of Canada, you can get there from Toronto nonstop to Lima on Air Canada service. And if you're coming out from the west coast, there are connections through the US that are still relatively convenient to get you down to Lima, as I say, the capital of Peru, and the starting point for our adventure around, which is going to take us down the west coast, down to the area called around Caracas, where, as I say, we'll get into the details in the day by day, but this is where the gateway to the Nazca lines, which is these incredible drawings in the desert. They will explain that in a minute, as well as the Ballestas Islands. And then we're also going to fly over to the area of the Sacred Valley. So Cusco, high up in the Andes Mountains, and the all of the wonderful places around the Sacred Valley, and of course Machu Picchu being part of that. And then of course there's our extension program to the Amazon portion of Peru at Puerto Maldonado, which you would access from Cusco directly there, and then flying back to Lima. So that's the overview of the geography of our program. And now with Martine's help, we're going to talk about the day-by-day itinerary. And as I said, you get to Lima. Lima's really incredible city. I love this picture from the shoreline of Miraflores, which is the the trendy, then the nicer district of Peru. And because is it in exactly the same time zone, or is it like 1 hour apart? For all intents and purposes, it's almost exactly the same time zone.
I think it's an hour off.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
don't quote me, I have to check. I'm in Costa Rica right now with 2 hours difference.
There you go. Exactly. So but so there's like you fly. I think you fly overnight, and then you arrive in the morning, but you don't have the jet lag. So this is the beauty of traveling in Latin America, and it's so underrated. Lima as a city. Martine, your thoughts on the city? I love this city because it's a foodie town, among other things.
Yes, there's 3 actual Michelin star restaurants alone in Lima. So food is going to be a huge part of this experience. If we have foodies on, raise your hand. We'll definitely be catering to you. I am too. So yeah, Lima is really one of the most magical cities. It's one of the largest desert cities in the world, next to Cairo, and it's basically right on the ocean. So we're going to be in Miraflores, which is a district, like you said, Gordon, that's like one of the nicest of the area. So we're really going to be in a beautiful spot, very close to another district that we'll be discovering, Barranco, the next day. So it's really something to see. If you even want to get there earlier and spend more time there, you can certainly do that. But we'll have enough of a full day the next day on day 2 to discover
exactly.
Of it.
So we'll take it easy the first day, as we always do on our trips. I mean, we're not going to plan a lot, but you're in Miraflores, you can walk around the neighborhood. It's a relatively safe part of Lima. I mean, one always needs to take carefully, but it's you can wander around and enjoy what this amazing capital city has to offer. And so, as you mentioned, we're going to head into Barranco district, and I remember this very vividly. This street with all of the street art, the graffiti, but it's actually street art on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the next day we're, after a night of relaxation of whatever it is that you want to put on your menu, we're going to go explore the city center of Lima. We're going to go visit, for example, the mysterious catacombs of the monastery of San Francisco. There's a lot of really cool things. And then we're going to be going to the Larco Museum, which has the biggest pre-Columbian art collection, and then have a beautiful lunch there. And after, we do a walking tour of Barranco. And Barranco is sort of like the hippie town, the bohemian lifestyle, where a lot of the artists go to. And yeah, like you say, a lot of wall art, graffiti, aka wall art, that you're going to see there. We're going to cross the Bridge of Sighs. There's, listen, this day is going to be packed, but it's going to be also one of those days where you just feel like there's just beauty after beauty after beauty. So it's really fun. You start with a bang.
Start with a bang. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you'll come away from really having felt like you got to know the city, and there's so much more in Lima. And so it is, as you mentioned, Lima, as you mentioned, Martina, you can obviously fly in earlier. You can stay on a couple extra days, and you may very well want to do that because there's only so much that you can really do in the course of a sightseeing itinerary. But I think that we'll cover some of these highlights on this day, and then from there we head down to Paracas. And I remember the drive vividly. Maybe you could describe it for our members. What's it like driving from?
It's like going on the moon. It's a bit like you're going right through the desert. You're following the Pan American Highway, and you're following the coast. It's very arid. You're going to start learning about also the communities that live outside of Lima proper. And then we enter, Paracas, which is really an area where a lot of fishermen, the industry of fisheries is there. but also this is where it's the home of the Ballestas Islands, which are part of the Paracas National Park, which is a protected peninsula, like a protected desert peninsula. It's just incredible. It's also home of the Nazca lines, which are geoglyphs that are still a mystery to most. They can only really be seen to their, fullest from the sky. So, theories are they were done for the gods, and just by the way they were etched in the ground, and the fact that there's little wind and little rain, it really has remained. And we're talking about 500. I think it was BC. They're very, very, very old etchings. Anyway, so we're going to give you the opportunity, to those of you who are not scared of flying, to try this tour, to see these lines. It's magical. I've done it about 5 times. You want to have a very light breakfast, but it's definitely something to see. We're going to see, depictions of animals. Could be anything from trees, spirals, all these things, and it's just incredible to see a hummingbird from that high up, to see that it's just incredible. So whoever is up to it can try that.
Yeah, exactly. So this does involve a private plane flight out of Ica. Is it Ica that we fly out of?
Mhm.
The whole tour is about an hour and a half, but I'll tell you, you've never seen anything like this. I mean, there are still people that speculate that all the Nazca lines were made by aliens. I mean, who really knows? Who really knows how they originated? But the fact is, they exist, and they are an amazing part of Peru's heritage. You mentioned as well the Ballestas Islands, and this is an amazing, archipelago off the coast.
We call this, basically we call this the Little Galapagos of
Yeah.
Peru, as it really is like a little Galapagos. There's tons of bird life on these islands. We're talking about boobies, cormorants, all of these beautiful like terns, pelicans. We have Humboldt penguins. All of these are here, including humpback whales, dolphins. So it's a protected marine area. And so we're going to be going on these small speed boats, going out to the islands, circumventing the islands, and seeing all this wildlife. So if you're a photographer, for example, this is definitely an opportunity to photograph tons of beautiful, birds and sea life. And it's one of those trips that like you said, there's just such diversity in this country. After the first 2 days, you'll feel like you have been there at least a week, because you've seen so much.
I totally agree. That's exactly the way I felt about it. There's, you've gone to desert, and you've got city, and you've got sea, and you've got it's amazing. And we stay at a wonderful place right on the coast. And so you can see the Ballestas Islands, basically from your hotel, or from the grounds anyway, looking out to the sea. It's remarkable.
There's a museum in our hotel too, so you can go learn about all of them.
That's right, and they do a great job of explaining a bit about the local heritage and the indigenous people that lived in that area, and the speculation on the Nazca lines. It's truly fascinating. And again, you'll get there, and you'll sort of have settled in for a few nights, and you feel like you'll want to stay more. But nevertheless, we'll carry on and head back to Lima, from where we will then depart down to Cusco. And this is the start of the mountainous part of our trip. We will be in the Peruvian Andes, in Cusco. Which is pretty high. Cusco is at about 3,300 meters. Is that right? About
1,400 meters to be specific.
3,400 meters.
Over 11,000 feet. But we won't stay there. Because the thing is, we want you to acclimatize. So we're starting at about 11,000 feet when we land. And then we'll be going down into the Sacred Valley, which expands about 100 kilometers. It's just this beautiful, just completely verdant, and just like, this is where we grow quinoa, this is where we grow corn, this is where we grow potatoes. This is just a beautiful piece of land, and within that we're going to see various things. So we're going from about 11,000 feet going down to just like about 9,500 feet, and then when we go to Machu Picchu, just to give you an idea, we're going down to about 7,800 feet. So basically 11,000, 9,000, 7,000. So we're going down and then coming back to Cusco, so we'll have time to acclimatize before going back. And generally, I will say most people, like 99% of the people, you totally fine, no issues with altitudes. There's always that
Exactly.
1% that might feel a little bit of hard breathing or nauseous a little bit, but usually passes within the first 24 hours. And it's perfect.
Exactly.
The first 24 hours we rest. We're not doing too much craziness when we first get.
Exactly. Exactly right. And so all throughout the Sacred Valley, Martine, there are, these various Inca ruins and remains and all the rest of it. And so, what are some of the things that Pisac is one in particular that I remember quite fondly?
Yeah, Pisac is actually the first site that we're going to visit. And it's the perfect introduction to the Inca civilization. So we're going to be Pisac. And again, there's going to be room for people to go in these sites and explore. And if others just want to take it easy and look at it from a distance and hear the guides, because we have the expert guides in every corner that we go, they're going to be joining us. So you don't have to actually wander off in the sites if that's uncomfortable for you. But if you are one that wants to explore, you can do that. And this is where we're going to get introduced to the Inca way of life. So this is really a cool place to start.
It's a very, very cool place to start.
Shopping.
Don't mention the shopping, right? We also have a lot of gentlemen on this trip. But honestly, Peru is one of those places that I have bought more things because the quality of the craftsmanship and in stuff, particularly the textiles and so on, is really fantastic. Anyway, let's not go into that, but I'm not a shopper, but I definitely shopped it. So we're going to be staying down in the Sacred Valley, right?
Yeah. So in the Sacred Valley, we'll be seeing so many various places and staying there for at least 3 nights. So this is a good place to just really acclimatize. Again, if you're not feeling well for any reason, it's a good place because you can just rest. And it's just one of those places that refills the soul. It just refills the batteries. It's just so beautiful and magical. That's why they call it that.
And yeah, for sure. And Moray is one of those sites where you've got a picture of it here.
Yeah,
that again.
Keep going. I think you have one more.
Have I got one more?
Yeah. Oh no, sorry, it was Moray.
Okay.
So that is Moray and Maras are these 2 other sites that we're going to be visiting. Moray basically it's like a natural indentation that was created, and some people will say aliens again, but it's a natural indentation. And then within that, they created this agricultural experiment, and we'll tell you about it when you're there. It's so interesting, and we can walk around it, and we have the most beautiful view of the Andes behind us. It's just incredible.
It's when you see these different sites, you really gradually get to understand. I mean, we learned about the Incas in high school, or whatever it is during our or even earlier during our early education. But when you see firsthand what the civilization was up to and what they were capable of, you start to grasp how advanced these guys really were, and you really have to see it firsthand. And that's again what I just love about Peru is the fact that you can see how.
I'm going to add to that still
Please.
Today you can feel that culture, which is what's amazing about visiting Peru.
Yeah, totally agree. So in Ollantaytambo, and Ollantaytambo is kind of the gateway to Machu Picchu. It's the end of the road, literally.
There's a fortress literally there to protect basically, the basically
that's the one you see here in the background here. This is the fortress of Ollantaytambo.
Yeah, and for those who want to climb, this is such an incredible climb, and just to go to the top and to see the immensity of the rocks that are there, and the ingenuity, and just basically the architecture that they have used to build this is incredible.
Yeah, it's remarkable. And so we'll be visiting the fortress there, and again, gradually we're making our way towards Machu Picchu, and it's here, in fact, that we embark on a train, because there is no road to Aguascalientes, the town, or to Machu Picchu, and so therefore you take a train, right?
Right, to get to the Citadel, you can only go by foot or by train. We're definitely not going by foot, so we're going to take the most beautiful train. The
Yeah.
Vista Dome, we call it. So you get to see, and this is also where you're going to start seeing also rainforest. We're actually going to be going through some patches of rainforest at this point, and some tropical forest. So we're going to be going from, dry, arid, all the way into the Andes, which is green and verdant, and then into the rainforest. So it's a really cool trip just to get from point A to point B. It's just magical, and the train's always
Yeah,
fun.
it's remarkable. And then, of course, we arrive at Aguascalientes, which is the town nestled. Aguascalientes, obviously hot water because of the
Water.
hot springs.
Mhm.
And this is our gateway to Machu Picchu. Obviously, this is, the obvious highlight of the trip. Give us a brief rundown about what the day looks like and the logistics around Machu
Yes.
Picchu and how it all works, just to give our
Okay, so
members a
first of all,
sense.
we leave quite early from the Sacred Valley. We leave with just a small bag because the rest of our bags actually head off to Cusco to meet us later. So we're just going lightweight. We go, take our trains about an hour and a half. We get into Aguascalientes, time for a little pause before we head up in the buses to the Citadel. When we get to the Citadel, you show your passport and you enter. We're going to enter with our guide. We're going to be doing if you go into looking at what a circuit we're going to do, there's various circuits within it's not a free-for-all within this site. You have to follow a very designated pathway. And there's just so many people that can come in on certain hours. So you can't just show up anytime, right? So we're going to follow circuit number 2, which really brings us through the whole site. It's not a big site. People see this, and I've been there, I don't even know, about 20 times at least, minimum. So as you go through the site, it's just so impressive. It's very small, but it's very impressive. And with the guide, we're going to go through all the different areas. And it takes about half a day to go through that area, which is what we're going to have. Then we're going to offer people the opportunity, if you think that's not enough for you, because some people really want to photograph or want to just be in the site, the next morning you will have the opportunity to visit that again, or have some morning off to relax and visit the town of Aguascalientes. And there's lots of shopping there too, in case you're into that. And so basically those tickets, that's the one reason why I need everyone who's interested to jump into this trip, because we need to book these tickets far in advance. Machu Picchu can sell out. So we really invite you to take a leap of faith and jump into this trip, and really you will absolutely adore it. It's just one of those amazing trips.
Yeah, and that's that's an important point, Martine, because they are starting to really limit the number, and they have to limit the number of visitors, which is why we need to book all our tickets well in advance. In order to be able to take advantage of seeing this amazing place. What else did I want to say about that?
In the last years of perhaps being able to enter the site, they're talking about closing the site where you can only view it from a distance. So just we're in those last years really of probably being able to enter. Take that opportunity.
For sure. The thousands and thousands of people that have been through have taken their toll on these incredible ruins. And so, as you say, you may never get the chance again. That's not a sales pitch. I mean, it is, but at the same time, it's the reality of what we're dealing with at Machu Picchu. But it'll be a day you never forget. And I know what I was going to mention. You mentioned about going back the next morning. The last time I went to Machu Picchu, that's exactly we did. We'd gone up in the afternoon, and the weather wasn't great. I mean, it was cloudy, but it was actually mystical, and I'll never forget it. I have amazing pictures because it was like clouds hanging over the Citadel. It was anyway. And then for the half of our group went up the next day, and it was a bright sunny day. It was like a completely different experience. It was like it's so great. So we're fortunate to have the opportunity to be able to go up and see it twice. And you never know what you're going to get in terms of weather. So, and that's the free day that we have here. Beautiful picture, and you can see the terrain that this is all built into. It's remarkable. It's just all mountains.
All roaded by train, everything you see.
Yeah, everything. So a free day in Aguascalientes, and then that afternoon we take the train back out and all the way back to Cusco, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Absolutely. So another beautiful train ride, fun event. And then we get to Ollantaytambo, and from there we take a bus into our own private little shuttle, all the way into Cusco. So now we're going to be climbing up to 11,000 feet. This is where some
All the
people
way back up.
be feeling a little bit of the altitudes, but by that time you'll be so acclimatized, you'll be just perfect. And basically, this is another UNESCO heritage city we're going to in Cusco. It's just incredible. The cobblestones, it won in the world. It's the most beautiful central square.
Central, that's right.
And second to one in Italy. So I mean, it's just incredible, and the most incredible restaurants there. We're going to eat such great food. Yeah. And then Sacsayhuaman is one of the most incredible sites also there, because this was the capital of the Incas. This is where most of the ceremonies were had. There's thoughts that this was just a fortress, but it was also a sacred space. It's when the Spaniards came, it became, of course, a fortress, in the 1500s, but it's one of those places where, you will be humbled when you stand next to these rocks at 4 tons.
You really will. And I tell you, this is the part, and it's like we've all been around the world, seen ruins and all the rest of this kind of stuff. And the same thing, and if you look at it, you're like, oh, another ruin, a bunch of pallet of rocks. But when you stand there and you see the road going down here, and you stand next to, and when you understand the size of these monoliths and the degree of accuracy that they had to implement to put these things together, I'll tell you, it is mind-blowing. And all of a sudden, your whole perspective on visiting ruins, it's not just another pile of rocks, man. It is incredible. It is nothing short of incredible. So, as you say, Sacsayhuaman, and also Coricancha, which is...
Coricancha is just going to be, they've made it a museum now, but it's to show how the Spaniards came and really just dominated. They took a lot of the ruins and built churches over ruins to show basically like, hey, we're the ruling power now. But it really shows the diversity between the two cultures, how they mesh together too. Still today, if you go in a church, you'll have one side an altar, another side an Inca altar. It's very interesting in terms of the culture and the spirituality behind everything. It's really interesting.
It's super interesting. And the next day we have a whole day free in Cusco. And we decided to do this because it's just one of those towns that you just want to spend time wandering around and just taking it all in, the location, the architecture, the restaurants. It's like one of those places I feel like I could live there.
I That's so beautiful.
Yeah. And, one of the things in Cusco that you can visit, and again, I remember this quite vividly as well, is this Coricancha temple. And this is the temple that's inside the church, right?
So basically they built it around it.
Yeah, exactly. They built the church around the temple. And I never forget the guy telling the story about, the earthquakes, that basically the church was all crumbling down, but the Inca temple, perfectly intact, withstood over centuries and centuries and centuries, all these earthquakes. The technology from like they say, it's not, they don't make them like that anymore. Right. So true.
Too.
Yeah. So true about that. And so that will take us through the main portion of our program. And you really will come away with a completely just bedazzled by everything that Peru has to offer. And so the only other piece of Peru, actually the only other piece, there's many other pieces, but we'll have seen the desert and the Nazca lines and the ocean, the seaside, and then of course the mountains with the Andes. The other ecosystem in Peru, of course, is the Amazon river basin, and that is the opportunity to participate in our add-on program here to Puerto Maldonado. And so I love this place, Incatera.
Yeah, Incatera is beautiful.
We fly from Cusco direct to Puerto Maldonado, and basically then just take a short hop, and then we get in a boat, and then we head up the Amazon River, or I think specifically it's one of the tributaries, if I'm not mistaken, of the Amazon. Yeah. And so Martine, explain the experience that we're going to have here at Incatera in the Amazon.
Yeah, if you've never been into the Amazon or a rainforest, this is definitely like you're going to the top of the top in terms of experiences. You know, this, you're basically on the side of the water, which gives you access to also just that ecosystem, but you have also the ecosystem of the rainforest around you. So then you have monkeys and all this wildlife. The guides here are expert wildlife guides. So you're going to be, you know, having access to, and I think it's a la carte here, if I'm not mistaken, the activities that you can choose. So you can
You can
decide
choose.
right, you want to do,
Exactly.
I do. And it's just, it's a completely different experience than what you'll have lived on the rest of the trip. It's very, very comfortable considering you're in the rainforest. Some people are very comfortable in the rainforest, but it's a very comfortable experience. So I
Very.
recommend it if you've never been, to try something different like this is definitely worth it. And the food is delicious there as well.
This place, this place is like, it's a luxury lodge in the middle of the rainforest.
Yeah.
And you know, you're set up in these individual like bungalows. But you know, when we say bungalows, you can see what these are all like. I mean, it's all screened in. And they've got you know, a spa there. They've got you know, massage facilities, and some of the rooms even have a private pool. Some of them face the river. And yeah, so you feel like you're having a jungle experience, but at the same time, you're really in the lap of luxury. And as you mentioned, Martine, there's a whole menu of different activities that you can do that are part of the program there. So there's, needless to say, various jungle walks, and there's a canopy walk not far away as well, so you can see some of the biodiversity that exists at various levels of the jungle. There's boat trips to do. You know, once again, our post trip there is it 3 nights or 2 nights in
2 nights.
Katera? Yeah, 2 nights, 3 days. Again, you'll feel like you want to spend so much more time. And then of course the food, which is fantastic. Yeah. So this is the way I like to see the Amazon, as opposed to tenting with the monkeys. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's a picture of the canopy walkway, which, you know, if you have a fear, but I remember going with some of our members who even did have a bit of a fear of height, and it's just like, just look up, don't look down, and you'll be fine. And so we managed to go along the whole length of the thing, several hundred meters of bridges like this. It's a phenomenal experience. And again, going with these amazing guides, and the guides that they have, the naturalists know every single leaf and bug and spider, and yes, there are spiders, and you know, there's all kinds of stuff that you don't really want to know about, but it's there. And listen, it's a safe environment, otherwise they wouldn't do it, right?
If I can make a shameless plug for those who
Please.
want to have a really good rainforest experience, if that's really the main focus for you, you may want to consider joining us in Costa Rica, where we really delve into a beautiful rainforest jungle. Indeed. Where the wildlife is way more accessible in some ways. So just putting a
Agreed. Yeah.
Trip that we do.
No, I think that's absolutely a valid point. I mean, Costa Rica has another whole ecosystem and biodiversity there, but you know, for some people, the Amazon River is sort of the pinnacle of what you can do jungle wise, and all the different things that there are to see in the area. I mean, it's really, really remarkable. So we recommend joining us for the extension program as well. And that will take us to the end of our Peru Land of the Incas trip. And I appreciate, Martine, you really adding a lot of color to all the amazing things that we're going to visit. I'm just going to touch on a few of the logistics. Of course, all the information is in your program itinerary that you'll have now read. So this program, of course, May 6th to the 18th. And you can see our price points there. And I might highlight that the single occupancy price, as far as single supplements go, is quite reasonable. So this is a great trip for solo travelers, because you know, you can go and have your own room throughout the trip without a significant additional supplement. That makes a big difference. As with all of our programs, of course, everything on the ground is covered. Also, your domestic flights between Lima and Cusco and back, the Vista Dome trip, and you know, a breakfast and either a lunch or dinner just about every day. And of course, the lovely Martine, who's going to be hosting the trip from beginning to end, at least from Lima until Cusco. And then who knows, if we have enough people who decide to join us in the Amazon, perhaps there as well. And of course, All that you have to take care of in addition to the main tour program is the airfare and taxes, as well as insurance, which we are more than happy to facilitate for you. And here's the extension program. So this is for the extra nights. This, and again, you can see the different categories that we have there. The cabanas up to the Tambo Pata suite, that's the one with I think it's got its own pool inside.
Oh, and it's 3 nights, I'm noticing now.
It is, that's right. It is 3 nights. I thought so. It's 3 nights. So it's pretty darn good value because that includes the flight as well. So that's your flights from Cusco to into Puerto Maldonado, and your transfer to everything, the excursions, meals, it's all there. So you've got 3 meals a day. So that's a pretty all-inclusive price for that extension program to the Amazon. And so I apologize, the flight is not included in that because it's better to book it in conjunction with your international flight. So, but it's not that expensive, actually. So, so it's pretty reasonable. So that is the rundown of the program. Getting down to Peru, we don't like to say too much about airfares these days because they tend to fluctuate quite a bit. But at the same time, having checked just prior to this webinar, I think you're still looking at this kind of a price range to get down to Lima from various cities in Canada. And we're happy to offer an early booking bonus for anybody that, because as with many of our other programs, we've been able to sort of advise that if we put down deposits down early, then we get a bit of a break. So it's, and as Martine said, if you want to visit Machu Picchu, you need to book tickets well in advance. Yeah. So it'd be wise to do that, not just to save yourself $500 a head.
And if I can add, Gordon, that we keep our groups small. So this, get on this, join us. So the sooner you can.
Exactly. Yeah, the group's going to be small anyway, and I'm sure somebody's going to ask how much is the group size going to be. Probably 10 to 14 people is generally what we're looking at for Peru. Is going to be in that range, not any larger than that. Yeah. Otherwise, we'll just have to go twice. So of course, if you have any questions, and now we're coming up to our Q&A session. So Barb's going to come on and let us know if we have any member questions. But of course, you can email both Paula and Barb at the email addresses shown there, and they will get the answers to any questions for you. So, Barb.
Yes, we do have a question. A popular one is always about the weather. So
the
for
weather,
May, what kind of weather?
Yeah, well, we're going into the dry season in May, so that means very little rain, but I always tell people bring a rain jacket. You basically, we will be expecting, maybe depending when we're up into the altitudes, it can go down pretty cold. It can be even 6 degrees, 5 degrees at night. But during the day, we're looking at 18, 20, even more. When we're in the desert, we're looking at 20, 25, even more. So we're going to be saying to everyone, dress like an onion in layers. So you really want to be bringing, pants, really shorts for this trip. I don't even recommend, just for your comfort level around, from start to finish. It's just better to have sort of like the longer pants kind of thing. And then definitely layering up. So then at some points, if we're going to the Ballestas Islands, we're on the boats, you may have a little bit of water, ocean spray, it might be a little chilly. And then you get to the islands, as we circumvent, it gets hot. So you have to be ready to kind of maneuver with the weather. But
right.
In general, it'll be pretty dry.
Yeah, pretty dry and pretty nice weather and cool at altitude, I think. Yes, and of course, in the Amazon, different story, then it's tropical. Obviously, it's rain.
That's right.
So you kind of have to have a little bit of everything, but you can leave your snowsuit back home.
Yes. You can buy a hat and mittens if you really need them at any markets. So.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll want to. Anyway. Barb, any other questions?
Yeah. Can you talk about sort of what fitness level is required, and if there is sort of different fitness levels within a group, how is that catered for?
Yes, thank you, Barb. So I was just saying, bring a walking pole. I kind of slipped that into what to bring, but it actually falls into this category as well. So we'll be walking a lot. We definitely want everyone to be ambulatory. Like you have to be able to move. You have to be able to walk on uneven terrain. And of course, stairs. As you can see, everywhere we go, there are stairs. That said, most sites, except for Machu Picchu, because Machu Picchu, you definitely, if you want to see it, you need to go in it. And it's stair after stair after stair, but we take it very slow. And if you
Yeah.
have a walking pole, it must have a rubber tip. Okay, that's the most important thing, or else you can't bring the pole in. But for example, or every other site, if we have someone, let's say, that has a knee injury, or maybe just doesn't have the willpower to go through maybe the whole site, that's okay. There's, you know, for example, I'll give you an example, Morai. It's a beautiful large site, but you can stay just at the entrance of Morai to see all of it, sit there, listen to the guide, and then whoever wants to go into the site can go into the site. So we do work with whoever's in the group, but just be comfortable with some distance, uneven terrain, and stairs.
Okay, and then do you have any suggestions in terms of how somebody might prepare for a trip like this?
Yes, absolutely. So like I said, walking pole, dress like an onion, bring a reusable water bottle. We don't drink the water there at all. We have to drink bottled water the whole way through. So it's important. And we prefer not wasting small bottles, you know, it's just adding to, you know, the plastic island in the ocean. So let's just, you know, reuse our bottles. And basically just, you want to bring enough cash so that you, when you go into the markets, you can break down that easily. So come with smaller bills, not $100 bills, for example. You want to come with like $20 bills, and then you can break them into the local currency and then use those in the market. Credit cards are used everywhere, you know, restaurants and things of the sort. But again, we've included a lot of your meals and the tip that's included with that meal. So just
Exactly.
yeah, we'll be giving you an information package complete with, you know, what to pack and things of the sort, but keep it light. You can bring a wheeled suitcase. It doesn't have to be any kind of backpacking. We're not backpacking through Peru.
Yeah.
But keep it small, you know, keep it easy to maneuver. That's
Great.
my
Thank you.
If
Great. Thank
anybody's
you, Martin.
interested in the trip, then we do
Yep.
have a separate document. So certainly they can email myself or Paula or call us. If you have any interest in it, we will send that additional information document to you on this trip, which does have a lot of the more nitty-gritty information in regards to the trip.
That's great. And you will
Yeah,
love this.
perfect.
I'm telling you, there's no other trip that's going to be as magical.
I totally agree. Totally agree. So Barb, is that it for questions? Did we touch on everything?
Yeah, I think we've covered everything that's come in. So if people have
Great.
other questions, they can call.
They can please, yeah, give us a call, drop us an email. And that brings us to the end of our webinar today. Thank you so much for joining us. As Martine has said, and I have to reiterate, Peru is just, it's like if there were 10 countries in the world that you had to visit, Peru would 100% be on that list, maybe even. But yeah, it's remarkable. So thank you for joining us. Please join us for one of our upcoming webinars, and lots more in the pipeline. And have yourselves a great day, a great evening, and we'll catch up to you all again very soon. And thank you, Martine, for
My
thank
pleasure.
you for everything. Okay, all right, bye-bye now.